It was great to catch the part of the book club because, you know, this leads in so well with the Tonglen practice. And, you know, recently we've been talking about the way we interpret our experiences and emotions. And that's very relevant to bring into this practice too. Um, you know, we've looked at overwhelming emotions like anger and anxiety. And that when we rest in the emotion and allow ourselves to feel, really feel them rather than resist them, we can experience their nature. And that as we become confident in this, then they no longer harm us. So the practice of Tonglen offers us a way to spend a bit of time with this. And here we can safely open up to our emotions, particularly the ones we don't want. So when you join in this practice, it's your experience, no one else's. And it means you can be a little bit playful with the opportunity. And after the last practice that we had, you know, a couple of weeks ago, somebody asked if there was a particular way of breathing for the compassion practices. And that was really nice to chat about it. And we sort of settled on it being personal. How we open and breathe into the practice will be different for each of us. That the breath seems to flow with the way you feel the practice, the way you feel your own breath. So say, for me, I can feel my breath slow down a bit and it softens and becomes easier. And it sort of carries the intention of the practice into my heart and then out into space on the breath. And there's a sort of loving quality, and the length and pause might it might change through the practice. It's not something I'm controlling, but I am feeling it. So I was just wondering if anybody else, you know, had anything to say about the way they've experienced breathing in the practice, or anything else. Like, you know, it was good that that came up, something to clarify. If there's anything that's come into your mind when you're doing these practices, do you want to just sort of have a quick chat about that? And, you know, maybe I can't answer you, but maybe, you know, anybody else can, or, you know, if you can all chip in, that would be great. But, you know, how do you find it?
I think for me, becoming familiar with the practice and not having to wait for the next, what the instruction is between breathing out and breathing in, that makes it easier for me because I can kind of flow at my own pace rather than wait for the instruction. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very important, yeah, to just be with your own breath and just use the instruction or the guide, isn't it?
Yeah.
As flows along with your practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Is anybody else or anything else that you might have thought of now? Well, we'll begin then. And we'll just take a little pause. Just see how we are. Just to feel the whole body. There's no need to change anything. Just being kind to any aches and pains. And how's your mind? There's no need to change anything. And as we just leave everything as it is, just unaltered, a sense of spaciousness may emerge. And in this space, we can make a deep wish, perhaps to free ourselves of grasping and all the pain it causes us and others. And then just let go of that reflection and rest in this space. Just breathing in, breathing out with a natural ease in your own way. Allow your whole being to soften, to relax, awake and safe. And from this open view, grasping begins to loosen, and we begin the Tonglen practice. And just go with the flow of the practice and feel it in your own way. And the more we connect with the practice through our heart, the deeper it becomes. The wish to alleviate all suffering triggers our innate compassion. And when compassion is aroused, we're in harmony with our nature. Our fixed referent points, clinging to an idea of self, is loosened. So we soften and open our hearts and invoke all the great beings of compassion that have ever appeared to help all who suffer. And we ask for their blessings to empower our practice. And as our hearts open, they respond. Their tremendous shimmering light pours into us, completely filling us, and we melt into their vast, compassionate blessing. Through this blessing, there's no longer any solid identity that could be hurt by taking in our suffering or the suffering of others. We breathe our suffering into our open heart. And as it touches the compassionate nature, all our suffering dissolves into light. Our whole body becomes light. Here and now, all the power and compassion of the Buddhas becomes available for the world. Just allow yourself to feel this. So in this healing space, if it feels okay, we bring the practice to our own emotions, to anything you might be struggling with, anything that stirred emotion in you. There's nothing too strong, something you feel able to allow yourself to feel deeply. And just take a little bit of time to bring this to mind. And as I breathe in, all my confusion and suffering comes into my heart in the form of smoke and dissolves. I allow myself to feel this, to feel it touch the light in my heart. As suffering dissolves into this light, my compassion naturally increases. As I breathe out, I send out this beautiful light into the space around me, and I rest. This practice offers a space to open and face into the experiences we usually avoid, face into the feelings we don't like, the emotions we label as suffering. And this is an environment where our courage and confidence can grow, where we can experience freedom, where barriers dissolve. And if this practice working with your own emotions feels a bit difficult, just allow yourself a bit of space, a bit of kindness. Just focus lightly on the out-breath for a few moments, and then return to the practice when you're ready. As I breathe in, all my confusion and suffering comes into my heart in the form of smoke and dissolves. I allow myself to feel this, to feel it touch the light in my heart. As suffering dissolves into this light, my compassion naturally increases. As I breathe out, I send out this beautiful light into the space around me. I rest confidently and natural ease. And then we can consider someone we know, someone who might be dear to you, perhaps someone who's in a difficult situation. Consider all their suffering and confusion crystallizing together in a dense mass of smoke. We breathe in this distressed air confidently. And as it reaches our heart, we feel all barriers are exploded and washed away. All the labels that create an idea of I, labels that define us and limit us, all that grasping all that holding together is completely dissolved. And we are open. And what's left is the radiant jewel of compassion, completely open. And from this we respond. Consider your heart pouring out light, compassion, healing and joy to your dear friend. As you come to breathe out, feel this joy. The healing power of our innate nature flows out to that person who's going through distress. Feel it flow like cool, fresh, healing white light. And in this practice, we're not taking on the suffering of others. We're not absorbing it into us. We're removing their suffering by being open, by allowing it to touch the warmth of our open heart. Again, we fearlessly breathe in all their distress, pain, and suffering in the form of heavy smoke, and allow it to dissolve into the vast, open essence of our being. As we breathe out, we allow love and healing in the form of fresh, brilliant light to release and flow out to them. As I breathe in, their suffering comes into me and dissolves into me. I allow myself to feel their suffering. As I feel their suffering, it starts to dissolve into me. As their suffering dissolves into me, my compassion increases. As I breathe out, I send out this beautiful light that touches them and heals them. The circle of our compassion widens, thinking of others we know, thinking of the distress in this world. Deeply breathing in and dissolving all that distress, that confusion, and pouring out love and healing light as we breathe out. We open up our practice, inviting all who suffer into this vast space. On seeing their suffering, our hearts open. And when we practice in this way, we're not focusing on their prison of suffering. We're focusing on their fundamental goodness. And this is of greater benefit to them. It connects with their own potential to be completely liberated from suffering. As I breathe in, their suffering comes into me and dissolves into me. I allow myself to feel their suffering. As I feel their suffering, it starts to dissolve into me. And as their suffering dissolves into me, my compassion increases. As I breathe out, I send out this light that touches them and heals them. The circle of compassion becomes wider and wider. And we allow this vast natural compassion that responds regardless of where or who to release effortlessly for every being including ourselves. Breathing in all the suffering in our universe, allowing it to dissolve in that indestructible space of love. And breathing out, allowing the powerful healing energy of compassion to release into vast space. And now as you come to breathe out, just simply let go of the practice and rest once again in natural space. You can dedicate the practice to anyone if you'd like. And maybe it may touch all beings, anyone who experiences fear, feels alone and unsafe. And that may all come to know their good heart.